Thus far, we've covered some of the best cities, states, and locations for 2021. But with the good comes the bad. In this video, we'll be discussing the top 10 most dangerous cities in the US. We will talk about violent crime, along with property crime, statistics, and reasons why these locations made our list. Before we jump into today's video, take a quick moment and subscribe for upcoming top 10 lists. We will be bringing some giveaways for our subscribers in the near future, so don't miss out. Also, leave a comment below letting us know your thoughts and cities you think should be included. Let's jump into it. Located in California's Central Valley, Stockton, California is the #1 most dangerous city in the state of California and comes in at number 10 on our list of most dangerous cities in the United States. Now, I can't say this comes as a complete shocker. This city has long been plagued with poverty, a high unemployment rate, and minimal resources for those in need. City leaders believe the pandemic has fueled violence. Now, I'm not quite sure how factual that is, but it doesn't seem far-fetched. The stressors of job insecurity, evictions, and lack of social activities have pushed people to their limits. Add that to the easy access of firearms, and you have a deadly combination. So, just how dangerous is Stockton? The average number of daily violent crimes in Stockton is over 3 times the California average and almost 3.7 times the national average. To put that in perspective, you have a 1 in 72 chance of becoming a victim of violent crime, which includes murder, rape, robbery, or assault. Now, I'm no gambler, but even if I were, I wouldn't be too comfortable betting against those odds. If you include other crime, such as property crime and theft, your chances of falling victim narrow to 1 in 19. Stockton reported 55 homicides in 2020, which is the highest they've seen in the past 3 years. Resting along the coast of Lake Michigan in the largest city in Wisconsin, Milwaukee earns number 9. The city of beer, being home to the Miller and Pabst breweries, to name a few, is also a crime haven. Some of you may recall a horrific shooting at the Molson Coors factory in which a worker murdered 5 of his coworkers before taking his own life in February of 2020. Researchers believe segregation and an overwhelming opioid crisis are the main contributing factors leading to Milwaukee's soaring crime rates, although their poverty rate doubling the national average does not help. Crime analytics indicate that this city is more dangerous than 96% of the United States and 99% more than the state of Wisconsin. 2020 was their historic year of violence, ending with 189 homicides, a 94% increase from 2019. It is currently February of 2021, and they are on track to match. With a total of 7,985 violent crimes and over 15,000 property crimes, government officials are focusing heavily on reducing these numbers. While the name may be misleading, one you could associate with a small Americana town, Little Rock's shockingly high crime rate is worthy of number 8. I should also mention that this city has also been named as one of the worst places to live in the US, and I encourage you to check out that video, which I will post a link here. Police have been vocal about their struggle with crime and seem to have difficulty pinpointing exactly why they are seeing this upward trend of violent crime, which is a 20% increase since 2019. With a total crime rate 207% higher than the national average and a violent crime rate 300% higher than the national average, you may want to reconsider visiting if you aren't completely familiar with this area. 1 in 14 are your chances of becoming a victim of crime, just 1 in 65 of violent crime. With that said, luckily the majority of crimes being committed in the city are property related, which includes auto theft, residential theft, and property damage. While only reporting 38 murders and an actual decrease in violent crimes, A reported number of 15,338 crimes shows just how big of an issue Little Rock is facing. At number 7, Cleveland, Ohio. Interesting enough, with the exception of Columbus, all major Ohio cities face a serious crime issue. Cleveland, however, takes the cake. Despite booming healthcare and tech sectors, the city's poverty and unemployment figures are quite troubling. An unbelievable 35% of the population lives below the poverty line, and these factors have assisted in driving a violent crime rate 4 times the national average. For Cleveland, the violent crime rate is one of the highest in the nation, among cities of all sizes. 2020 proved to be the city's worst year in regards to homicides, reporting 185 of them, the most in a single year since 1982. Statistically, you have a 1 in 66 chance of becoming a victim of rape, murder, armed robbery, or aggravated assault. Similar to Little Rock, the majority of crimes taking place here are property related, such as burglary, larceny, motor vehicle theft, and arson. In dealing with the virus, city officials are claiming that disputes are increasingly leading to violence. As if that weren't sad enough, it is also reported that police are seeing that more and more victims tend to be innocent bystanders. Number 6, Kansas City. Now, the biggest question usually asked is, why isn't Kansas City in Kansas? The real question should be, why is this city so violent? We've talked about poverty being a factor for some of our listed cities, but that is not the case here. In addition, Kansas City's unemployment rate is lower than the national average. While this city has its fair share of favorite feats, such as its world's famous barbecue, well, it is also infamous for its gun violence. How dangerous is KC? 161. That's right, there were 161 gun-related homicides in 2020, their deadliest year ever for gun violence. It was also the state of Missouri's deadliest year ever due to gun violence. The odds of falling victim to a violent crime, 1 in 70. That is 277% higher than the national average. Their violence has become so apparent that they have seen recent federal law enforcement having to step in to provide resources. How about crime in general? 1 in 19 chance. The city reported an enormous 19,124 incidents in 2020, with the majority of those cases being theft related. What if I told you Kansas City was not the most dangerous in the state of Missouri? Well, you better believe it, because ranking in at number 5 is St. Louis. While this city is a major economic hub and home to various Fortune 500 companies, their low unemployment rate has done little to curb violence. Criminologists believe a decrease in police activity due to mandatory quarantines and low staffing levels has contributed to their increase in crime. As a matter of fact, their homicide rate is the highest it has been since 1970. Clocking in with a total of 24,438 crimes in 2020, 5,793 of those were violent, and 194 of those being murders. We touched on gun issues facing the state of Missouri, so this may not be so unbelievable. Now, as the odds narrow, your chances of becoming a victim of a violent crime here are just 1 in 52. Like our other cities on this list, this city also faces a large amount of robberies, over 1,400 of them last year. Year over year, crime has increased by 5%, with a total crime 226% above the national average, and a violent crime rate that is 408% above the national average. It is clear as to why St. Louis comes in at number 5. Baltimore, Maryland is a city obsessed with preservation. Nearly 1/3 of the city's buildings are designated as historic, more than any other U.S. city. Unfortunately, Recent history is something the city's residents likely want to forget, as Baltimore continues to rank as one of the country's most dangerous places. Why is that, you may ask? Well, Baltimore, just like every other city, has its impoverished neighborhoods. However, some criminologists don't believe violent crime in the city is correlated with its citizens' economic status. It could be that conflicts, disputes, or anger in the city has risen. In addition, there is a large disconnect and distrust between its citizens and police. Baltimore is only safer than 2% of U.S. cities and has reported 335 homicides last year. While that is an extreme number, you'd be surprised to learn that Baltimore has seen a decrease in homicides, logging 13 fewer than 2019. But with that, there were a record number of women and girls killed. Baltimore police identified no specific trends to account for the increase, but it is believed this could be linked to domestic violence. With a total of 37,220 total crimes, and with just over 26,000 of them being property related, Baltimore's crime rate is over 4 times the national average. Sliding in at number 3, we head to Alabama. Once known as the Magic City, today Birmingham is the most populous city in the state and is home to one of the largest banking centers in the U.S. Yet, for all of its economic successes, Birmingham has a frightening crime rate 230% higher than the national average. Let's talk some numbers. So, Birmingham reported a total of 16,982 crimes last year. While the majority of them were property related, the city sadly reported the city's highest number of homicides they've seen in 25 years. With a total of 3,964 violent crimes reported last year, 122 of those incidents were homicides. If you find yourself in Birmingham, you have a 1 in 53 chance of becoming a victim of violent crime, and only a 1 in 16 chance of becoming a victim of a property crime. Our runner-up for most dangerous city and number 1 most dangerous city in the South is Memphis, Tennessee. Some could claim that violence is just as much a part of Memphis's identity as blues music and barbecue. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in Memphis in 1968, and since the Civil Rights era, the city is considered ground zero for some of the worst firearm violence in the country. A good amount of our cities listed have broken crime records last year, and Memphis is one of them, exceeding 300 homicides in 2020. To give some context here, Memphis only had 191 murders in 2019. Memphis police say the high crime statistics they are seeing are an effect of gangs, drugs, guns, and domestic violence. With a total of 52,829 crimes reported last year, it is easy to see why Memphis earns the number 2 rank. With a violent crime rate 5 times the national average, you have a 1 in 53 chance of becoming a victim of a violent crime. Our number 1 most dangerous city in the U.S., the Motor City. That's right, Detroit, Michigan. Now, this one saddens me, being that Michigan is my home state. I have so much love for this unique and special city of Detroit. However, crime and violence has been a reoccurring theme. While most major U.S. cities continue to grow, Detroit has seen one of the steepest population declines over the past 50 years. Driving through what seem to be an endless amount of abandoned neighborhoods, it is apparent Detroit is plagued with poverty, violence, and corruption. Police believe the pandemic was the single most factor in fueling violence. However, high poverty and lack of opportunity certainly play its part. Let's get to the facts. How dangerous is Detroit? Well, Motown saw 327 homicides in 2020, which was a 19% increase from the 275 reported in 2019. Gun crimes and firearm-related violence continue to be a major area of concern. Non-fatal shootings alone are up 50%. Detroit's gun-related arrests surged as they report almost 6,000 offenders, which is a 102% increase than in 2019. It is said that you have a 1 in 51 chance of falling victim to a violent crime, and only a 1 in 23 chance for property crime. We certainly hope you enjoyed our list of the top 10 most dangerous cities in the US. Don't forget, click the subscribe button for more top 10 lists, and like for us. Leave in the comments below some cities that maybe you think should be included, and maybe other videos you'd like us to cover in future videos.